Janelle Rottier is a ball of energy and someone I'm excited to introduce you to. In fact, her Instagram profile is full of energy 87. Janelle has one husband, 2 goats, 3 cats, 4 kids, and sadly 5 chickens that didn't make it. She accidentally found herself in ministry work, and she's the executive director of a nonprofit called ANew Ministries. She loves Jesus, loves people, and dreams of enjoying the momentary pleasure of eating chocolate without her hips getting too attached to those moments of pleasure. Welcome, Janelle. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to be here. I have been looking forward to this.
Well, I am so glad. I'm so glad. Well, we're going to get into the details of what you do shortly. But before we do, why don't you just tell me, what do you enjoy doing that you don't always have time to do?
Oh, I would say, so we are from the exhilarating yet boring state of Indiana. And so any time that I can just get outside with my kids, my whole family, not a kid or 2 kids, but like actually all 4 of them at the same time, and we're doing something outside. I don't know. I love those moments. I just think that there is beauty in the simplicity.
Yes.
And I think that we get so caught up sometimes in creating big moments and big memories that we forget. And this, I'm just speaking to my own heart, because that's, I'm a full-fledged Enneagram 7. And so that's one of our struggles, is living in the moment and in the moments of simplicity. And if motherhood has taught me a lot of things, but that is one of them, that it's not always these like big things that we're looking for, but it's the everyday, ordinary, lovely things that end up to be the memories we're creating. Anyway, so anytime I can get outside with my family and the simplicity of it, I just, especially this time of year,
I know it. We're recording this in November, but it's going to be in the 70s this week.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 73 degrees today. My kids were joking because they are still wearing shorts.
It's amazing.
To school. Yeah, I love it so much.
Yeah.
So much.
Which probably means we're in for a very cold winter.
I know. I've actually been thinking about that too. I'm like, or a long one.
Yes.
Because I feel like the fall has been beautiful.
Yes.
And to be in November in the 70s. And anyways, and now I just feel like, we're going to be going into like March.
I know. Well, you've had lots of opportunities, hopefully, to get out and enjoy that great weather and be out there with your kids.
Yeah, it has been great.
Well, today we're going to talk about what you know, and that's cultivating purpose as a mom. And so I want to start by telling people how we met and what it was that you said that piqued my interest. So a few weeks ago, I was sitting in a small coffee shop, and my husband and I, we both work from home. So we were there doing our work, and you were there meeting with a colleague, making some valuable connections. And we were literally next to each other. Our tables were right there. And so as I heard you talk, I heard you mention an organization that I was very familiar with. And then I heard you say to this other woman, one of the reasons that I'm doing this now while my kids are at home is so that when they're grown and off to college, I will still have meaningful purpose. And I think there's so much wisdom in this. And in fact, one of the things that we talk about around here is this idea that you're more than a mom. You're a person with a purpose. So tell me more about what brought you to this point of embracing this idea of purpose and then, pursuing doing something with it.
Oh my goodness. So I always feel, in a sense, just when somebody asks for like your advice and your opinion on something, it's really hard for me. I want to be confident enough to know that I'm a child of God, but not arrogant enough to think that I know it all. Yeah. And sometimes that's a really hard line. And so, man, I just hope that when I speak and as we talk today, that there is just a humbleness of lessons learned and a lot of life yet to live, though, as well. Right. And so for this purposeful thing for me was a big deal, because I'll be honest, like, even if you were to ask me in high school, like, what do you want to be? Or what are you going to college for or something? I'd be like, I really want to be a mom. Like, I really want to be a mom. And I was able to be a mom, and they kept coming. And we had 4 in like 5.5, 6 years. And it was just like, okay, like, yeah, like this is what I want to do. And gotta love, we literally just got this puppy. So I apologize in the back. Literally just got him. I think we have had it 2-3 weeks yet. And I'm sadly already in love. So we can just watch her.
Yeah.
Watch her get comfortable with them. And so when I finally had kids, it was like, this is so great. And nothing that I thought it was going to be. Yeah. They're like really cute, but they never go away. Like they're there all the time. Like even to pee, they want to follow you.
Yes. It's constant.
Constant. And I'm going to be honest, I found myself kind of, and it's one of those things where it's not like, you're like, wow, that little piece of me got taken away. Or this little piece, like it's all of a sudden, I feel like you look down and you're like, is this all I am? Like I clean dirty diapers and I pick up toys and I'm stopping arguments and I'm trying to look like I have my stuff together when I'm in public with all these children. And I have more kids in the cart than I do groceries. And you're just like, you're just trying to navigate all this. And I just got to a point where I was like, I need something that is, I'm going to be honest, not centered around my children. One of the things that I say a lot to myself is I want my children to be a part of my life, but I don't want them to be my life. Yes. And what I mean by that too is I think that we can take motherhood, especially because it is and can be all consuming, but that then becomes an idol.
Yes.
And I am, again, discernmentship, man, that's a hard one, right? Like walking that line between my children are a huge part of my life. And I want them to know that they are loved, that they are safe, that, and that life is fun. Like it's meant to be lived and it's meant to be fun. And I want to walk that and teach that with them. I walk that line, but man, like it's so easy to be all the things all the time for them because they'll take it.
They will. Right. And I think it is I've said this before, that by modeling to our kids, nurturing and stewarding who we are, the gifts God's given us, that's actually a really good thing for them to see, because otherwise they get this model of, oh, I'm going to grow up and if I'm a mom, it's going to suck the life out of me. So do I really want that? And so I think I think it's good motherhood to model this for our kids.
Well, and I don't want my kids growing up too thinking that they are the center of the world.
Right.
Right. And so
they are not.
They are not.
Ask any teacher.
Well, and I want them to be a part of giving back to the world too. And I think in order to give back, you have to learn selflessness. Yeah. And because even giving back can be incredibly selfless, like selfish. Right. And the fact of, that was a journey of ministry for me too, that I got into in that, but just of learning that, I have to have the right idea and concept around what I'm doing. What is the purpose around what I'm doing, right? So like, what is the purpose around motherhood? What is the purpose of serving in ministry? What is the purpose of my marriage? And how can I make sure that all those purposes align with Jesus and his word and what he has for my life? And not just constantly what I want to do when I want to do it. And because then I'm modeling that to my kids too. And it's so hard.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot. This could be its own book right there, just on purpose.
Yeah.
So, well, this idea of cultivating purpose as mom, I think is particularly poignant because the nonprofit that you head works with teen moms. And in those years, I imagine that this is a group of moms who really need help seeing purpose in both their situation and in who they are as moms. So why don't you give us a brief overview of ANew, who it serves, and how you do it?
Oh, man. I'm going to be honest. The one keyword I picked up on there, Jen, was brief. And so if you have to hold up like okay, it's enough now, please, you have my full permission. These girls are my part of my heart and soul. And I mean that literally. As I joked in my bio, I never meant to get into ministry. I just wanted to love teen moms. And that came from years of sitting down with them in a room, and to the moment they first found out they're pregnant, to all the way walking alongside of them as they are, having a child and then raising a child. And I found myself in a position where I was counting down literally hours, like, okay, after nap time, they'll wake up around 3:00. And then I'll have about 2 hours to 2.5 hours in there. And then my husband's going to come home. And then it's going to be like, okay, like I'm going to have extra hands. And I can't tell you what or why I was not a teen mom. My mom was not a teen mom. I had no connection to teen moms, honestly, in any way, shape, or form. I always say I am the example of that God doesn't have to create a huge story in you in order to make a difference in someone else's life. So like, I don't have this huge story of redemption. I grew up in a Christian home. My parents, I still really like them. They're like really great people. And I married this guy that I met not too far out of high school. And like, I really like him. Like, he's a really great guy. And together we have 4 kids. And so, there's bumps and there's things along the road that you're like, oh, that was hard, or that was a rough time or season, but nothing that like this huge, climactic moment where you're like, oh, that's where I found Jesus. Or I always knew him. And I always knew that he knew me. And it was a relationship that developed over time. And because of that, I can't say that I can't relate to teen moms, and God had to teach me that I am not called to relate to them. I'm called to love them. And so I didn't need to have this great story to love them. And it wasn't that hard. And anyways, and so I'm sitting in my room one day or in my kitchen, literally I can put myself back there. And I was like, oh, it's okay. 2.5 hours, and he'll be home and I can get this break. And I felt like the Holy Spirit was almost like tapping me on the shoulder. Like, what about those that don't get a break? What about those that don't have a countdown and who they were? And at that time I was volunteering in very numerous ways in pro-life ministry. And I just was like, oh, like it just hit me. Like, yeah, I'm counting down till he gets home. And there are young women all over right now that have nothing to count down to except like bedtime. Like, it's just right. And it was just kind of convicted in that moment. So I went searching for what there was. And I came across a ministry that I ran that was kind of like a support group for young moms. And I ran that out of my church for about 6 years. And then I came to soon realize again that I knew nothing, and they needed a lot more than just a 2-hour social hour. And don't get me wrong, I could tell stories about the way that the Holy Spirit changed and convicted. And I don't just mean the moms, I mean like us and the volunteers too, and the way that they use those moms to show us the love that Jesus has for the orphans and the oppressed and the poor and the afflicted. And there's a reason that time and time and time again that is mentioned not only in the Gospels through Jesus's words, but even through the Israelites and from the way that they left and got executed. Or oh my goodness, the way that they had left Israel and became slaves. Like, it was just like it is woven throughout the entire Bible in so many ways. And I feel like our God is a God of grace so much. And I always say that that's one of the reasons I got into ministry is because of God's grace. Because I was just reading, so it's in Matthew, I want to say 11. I could be wrong on that, but it's toward the beginning there. And it was toward the end of the chapter. And it says that Jesus walked back into his hometown to preach the word. And everyone looked at him and was like, isn't that just the carpenter's son? Like, who is he? And that is what I felt like. I just feel like, man, who am I? Like, who am I to even think? And I made a lot of mistakes in those years, and a lot of things that I wish that I don't know if I wish I could have taken them back, because God had a lot of lessons and things.
Used them.
Yeah. I needed them, and he used them. But
Yeah.
I ran that ministry for a while and realized I needed more. And so I looked to see what was, and couldn't necessarily find exactly what I was looking for in the terms of that. But it led me to start a non-for-profit. Eventually, I got into a ministry called Team Other Choices, which is a phenomenal ministry that works with up to 7 moms at a time. They're paired with a mentor, and they have to work on goals, and they have to attend weekly life skill workshops, and be held accountable to the goals they're setting. They have to either be working toward full-time employment and or in school. If they're doing all of those, then we will work in helping them overcome whatever obstacle it is that stands in front of them. For most of our moms, it's the weekly cost of daycare. And so we cover that cost. And I just saw the change that ministry was literally doing in the hearts and the lives of the moms. And I was like, I want more of them. So I started a non-for-profit to do that. And so we currently have a TMC that's going on right now in Cedar Lake, Indiana. And we have 2 more that are opening. And alongside of that, I wanted to build a ministry that builds the bridge between the young mom in your community and to the doors of her local church.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue because I was say you are a huge proponent that relationships are the foundation to change. And so, I mean, you just mentioned one with the local church. So what kind of relationships do you help foster for these moms, and how do you do it?
Again, the type of relationships I hope to foster is nothing big. You know, it's not a relationships. If anything, they take time.
Yeah. And
time is an investment. And so that's how I look and view ministry, as an investment in lives, but also in resources and our time. And so one of my goals, vision, like heart song is to see the local church be known as the place for hope, for restoration, for healing. And I've come to see that a lot of moms had a hard time walking through the doors of a church because they can't always put to words their emotions and feelings. But there is a lot of unnamed shame that is in their life, and they carry it really heavy. And so for them to take that and walk through the doors of a church is hard. It's really, really hard for them. And so I'm trying to create programs that make that walk across the bridge for her to her local church a little bit easier, and for the local church to walk to her too, right?
Yes.
Like, let's go to her. These are the same moms that we stood there and we said, you can do this. And and there's help for you out there. And okay, so let's be that help. Let's be that support. Let's be that community that we told her was there and available for her.
Yeah. And let's make it easy for her to find and connect.
Yes. Right. And make it natural.
Yes.
And make it built on love, not on like a big flashy sign, but just it's really simple. And so we started making these boxes called Fully Flourishing boxes, and groups and churches and Bible studies and families can get together, and it's just packing a little white box, and it's filling it with needed baby things like socks and teething toys and a little spoon. And then inside as well is a handwritten card from somebody like you or like me. And it just says, you got this. Or you can do this, or know that there is an entire community that is praying for you. And then whoever wrote that card, we just put love and then their first name. And we put it in that box with her. And on the lid of that box, when she opens it up, right inside the lid is an invitation for her to come to one of our mom mixers. And these are events held every other Wednesday at various locations. Every third or fourth one I like to throw at a church. Just because, again, trying to break those walls that she has built up, not even knowingly. A lot of times they built them up unknowingly, but just kind of start to be that presence and that consistency in her life. and be that source of of an example of a healthy relationship and of love. Like our God is a God of love. And let's show her that love by the way that we walk alongside of her in a decision that we had asked her to make, and just do that. Just love her well. And so these mom mixers, she can just come in, and it's kind of like my old days when I used to run the Mom Social Club. I'm kind of doing that a little bit again. Trying to get these moms through the doors of a church and into a community.
Yeah, because now, as opposed to before, now you've got a next step. So now you've got that next place for them to go.
Yeah. And so we want to lead her from the time that she first finds out that she's pregnant or just gave birth. That's where these boxes are currently going. They're in hospitals and prenatal departments and all kinds of things. And then it goes from there to hopefully inviting her to a mom mixer, and then from a mom mixer, if she needs the additional help, putting her into a Teen Mother Choices program. And then from that Teen Mother Choices program, dreams and visions I have beyond that. But right now, that is where the good Lord has me. And I'm super, super excited to embark on, again, an unknown and see how many ways he can humble me along the way.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about this is, you and I live in a state where in the wake of Roe v. Wade being overturned, abortion is not that same legal option that it has been. And so that feels hopeless to a lot of women. And so that, to me, that makes this ministry of ANew even more vital, because in that hopelessness and helplessness, we've got to step up and show them that there is hope and there is help. And I think that's one of the biggest disservices from the pro-life movement, is that it gives this impression that the sole focus is on whether a baby is born, but it is so much more than that. And you're doing some of that, but can you talk a little bit more about how, beyond those first months when the baby's cute and you can see the need, how do you continue to be practical in living a pro-life, model to these people that have made the choice to have a baby?
Again, it's really, sometimes I feel like even as Christians, we overcomplicate things that Jesus has evidently said over and over again. It's not that complicated. It really is showing her love. So we have mentors that come into the Teen Mother Choices program, and even volunteers that would come for a mom mixer and be a regular to just build a relationship with these moms. That's all you need to do is build a relationship. And I always say, listen, she might tell you some stories, and she might tell you some really hard things. And you are going to be like, I don't know what to say to that. I don't know how to engage that. And I said, and you don't need to. You don't need to. One of my best and favorite responses when she tells me something that is really hard to take in, really hard to listen to, a story that is beyond anything that I've ever experienced or heard. And it's going, wow, I really can't relate to that. I have not had a similar story to that, but would you mind if we just stopped right here and prayed for that? Because I know someone that can relate. And
I love that.
He wants to hear about it. And so let's just tell him.
Yeah.
And so we just stop. We just pray. And it's that simple. Nobody is showing up for her consistently and constantly in her life. She has not been modeled a healthy view of relationships. And so the church in and of itself, guys, that's what we are, man. We're a community. We're relationships. God is a relationship. That's how much they value to him. He's the Father, he's the Son, and he's the Holy Spirit all in one. Relationships are the essence of who our triune God is. And he could have saved the world in numerous ways, but he chose a relationship in the way to change the world. And that will forever be profoundly impactful in my life, because of that relationship, that God came and sent his son down to walk alongside of me, to walk with me. It saved me. And so all we have to do is show up for these moms. And not just that sounds really simple, because it really is.
Yeah.
Nobody is. And so, man, if as the church, we can start to be known for what we stand for rather than what we stand against. and we stand for love and we stand for life. And it's not, I always say because they always say, where do you find your moms at? And like, where do they come? I said, they usually come at the point in life where, like you had said, babies are so cute, aren't they? They're so cute. And they're so mobile.
Yes.
You can carry them like physically, like on a backpack, you can carry them in a thing, you have a stroller. Once they start to get to a point though, where they are themselves mobile, and then they start talking back to you.
Yes. When they become people.
When they become people, all of a sudden they're not so cute anymore. Yeah. And it's also, everyone loves to hold a baby.
Yeah.
But not everyone's in a room like itching at you to hold a screaming toddler.
Right.
And so that's where a lot of times we've come to find out, usually around that 1.5, when that baby, that child turns 1.5. And so she's looking for connection. She's looking for purpose. She's looking for friendship. That's who we are. That's what the church is. We are friendship. We are purpose. We are connection. And so it's not creating this big, huge deal. It's in the simplicity of the everyday life and walking alongside of her with it as she's raising that child, right? Now we asked her to keep that child. Now let's help her to raise it so that she is given a foundation of dignity, of a life that she has now worked for and can provide for her child. Like, what a beautiful testimony of God's redemptive grace.
Yes. So when it comes to your family and leading this ministry, what has been the hardest thing for you to keep in balance between the two?
Yeah, everything. I knew we were going to kind of go down this path a little bit. And I'm going to be honest, this is where it comes in. Like, I don't know. I don't have it all together. And I never want to pretend like I do. I can tell you that I want my children to see their mom go after something that she's passionate about. Mm-hmm. And I want them to walk that path with me. But because of that, I can't attend every field trip.
Right.
And because of that, I have to take Saturdays and clean the house. Or, like I don't have as much. I want my children to be a part of my life, but I also don't want to make them my life and make them that idol of purpose for me. And so, man, I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to show my children that our God is a God of love. Mm-hmm. And I think it's beautiful that I get to show our children that Jesus loves the young mom. Yeah. Jesus loves the oppressed and the orphan and the afflicted of our culture and of our communities, right? He doesn't just love the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, but he is there for that young mom that can't afford her rent next month and doesn't know where she's going to go, and has maybe made some choices that it was hard, difficult, but that doesn't mean that she was less than. And so being able to live that out, not by just the words I say, but by the people that we have the privilege to welcome through our doors here at our home. My kids, I think, is really huge. But man, I'll be honest, there are days and weeks where I think I'm crazy to try to do all this. But at the same time, I have seen so much beauty, not just in ministry. There's so much beauty in ministry, but it's the kids and the way that they see people and the way that they engage the world around them. And I really look at that as a gift from God through some of these hard days and times. So I know that's probably not the pretty bow answer because I just don't have one, Jen.
No, but you know what? You wove into that beautifully what the greatest joy has been as part of that. And what I loved is that you said, I can't attend every field trip, but you didn't say, I can't attend field trips. And I think that's a really healthy thing to learn, that we have everything we do is a choice. And so we have to choose. And that's just made me think that some of these young moms may have more than one child, and they may not have someone to watch the baby so that they can go on the field trip with the school-aged child. And I mean, it's just such a simple way to to step in and help. But no, I love that answer because we are in such a consumption world and we want to do it all. And it is literally impossible.
Literally.
And so we have to make choices. We have to make choices all the time. And when our kids can see that these are purposeful choices and they're not willy-nilly or, selfishly motivated, though sometimes you're like, that's not the field trip I want to go on, so I will pass. But when they can see that we make choices and they can be, like you said, they walk it with you, they can be part of it. I mean, it's as simple as when you're like, you can buy lunch one day this week. Here's the menu. Which day do you want to choose? They've got buy-in, but it's not everything. Right. And so I love that answer because it wove in the fact that you are making choices and sacrifices, but there's a joy and they are learning so much more beyond the four walls of your house.
Right. And I one of the things I have learned through the years here of trying to juggle it all is I'll just straight out ask my kids, hey, I have this going on tonight, or I have this going on today, but I also know that you have this going on. And is this important to you? Is this something that you want me to be at? Because if it is, I'll move heaven and earth to be there. And that's putting that in I want my kids to recognize in their life too, that you have to make choices and decisions, right? Like you just said. And so I'm going to be available if you need me to be available. I feel like that's just it's a simple thing, but I asked my daughter, she has something going on tonight. And I was like, would you like, mom or dad there? Because your brother has practice right in the smack dab middle of that. And your sister has a test that I know we have to study for. And, and she says, yeah. And she literally said, and I said, girl, I will move heaven and earth if you really want me there. But sometimes we have to make those decisions. And she says, yeah, it's actually, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, mom, I really do want you there or dad there. And she says, because it's really kind of embarrassing to not have a parent show up. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Like, okay, thank you. And I feel like that helps her to recognize like the emotion of embarrassment.
Yeah.
Recognize that. Like if we could recognize and name our emotions more in life, like, oh, this is what I'm feeling and this is why I'm feeling it. Yeah. There's so much clarity to that. Right. And so I want her to be able to recognize that, walk it through together. Let's walk it through. Let's talk it through. But there's other times too, where she had a scrimmage last week and for basketball against all these different schools. And I asked her the same question and she was like, no, I don't really need you there. And I don't really care if you come. Then I'm not going.
Right. But it also gives her that ability to voice it, but it also helps her understand, that it is an investment. And so she's got to choose wisely which are the ones that need to be invested in. And it's not everything. And so it gives a good perspective on, importance. What is important? What isn't important? So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of parenting is trial and error.
Right.
And our oldest is a girl. And so I always tell her, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like you're a guinea pig. And so we're going to learn together. But by the time we get to your youngest sister, like we're going to nail it. Right.
No. Yeah. We just tell our kids the first pancake never turns out. And
oh, I like that too.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been so fun. So as we wrap up, I have a fun question this is a question for me because I'm a gadget girl. So I always ask people, what is your favorite time-saving gadget system or tool? So what would it be for you?
So my favorite little thing, and this is going to be not profound in any way, shape, or form.
That's fine.
A lot of times I think in life, it's the permission. Like I'm going to give myself permission in this season to use this, even though it might not make the most sense. It just makes you feel better. Clorox wipes on the counter. Like, do you know how much easier it is to grab one of those and wipe a mess up off the counter or wipe down the doors of my, fridge or even like, I am known to take those and wipe my floor where I'm standing until they dry out, just so I feel like I have a clean space on the
Yeah.
Like, it's not by any means profound, but I gave myself permission
Mm-hmm.
to do that rather than, get out the spray it down, get out the rag, wet the rag, and then wipe it all. Like, and then
Right.
the rags always look gross to me. I have this thing.
Yeah. Well, and those are all barriers because you're like,
Yes.
I'll do it later. I'll do it later. So you removed all the barriers. So you have a clean kitchen.
I have a clean kitchen. And I just feel like, man, when you have a clean kitchen, you have a clean life.
Yes.
And so I give myself permission to use and buy Clorox wipes, disposable. It is amazing what those things can clean. They can dust, they can clean floors, they can clean countertops and your appliances.
That's
if
amazing.
I get them to clean my clothes, I would.
You would do that too. She's gonna start throwing them in the wash next. And
right? They are so multi-useful. I love them so much.
That is fabulous. And that is a first. I have never had someone give me that answer. So I love that.
It's really more of the permission to use them.
Yep. Yeah.
Than it is probably this profane thing of someone's like, oh, I didn't know that existed. No, we don't know that existed.
Yes. But permission is so important. I talked to a mom one time and she's like, I know I shouldn't hire a housekeeper because it's wasteful. And I said, you work full time and you have 3 children, 3 and under. That's not wasteful. That's and she's like, oh, thank you. I'm hiring her tomorrow. She just needed someone to say, this is not a frivolity. This is a important thing.
I'm a big fan of seasons too.
Yeah.
Just because you do it in this season doesn't mean you can continue it for all seasons.
Right.
There'll be a season then where I can clean my house.
Yep. It's not this season.
It's not the season. I can make a really pretty 12 foot by 12 foot space behind me look nice.
Yes.
Because I zoomed clean right before we got on here.
Yes.
Little doors, let me tell you.
I know.
It's another story. And again, man, God's grace. God's grace. I always said I was the world's best mom, and then I had kids.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna be all these things and do all these things, and then you just realize no, I'm only able to be where I am because of God's grace.
Yeah.
And I really don't know anything. But I do know how to love, and I know how to give and accept it. And right now in this season, that's what I'm going to be for my kids.
I love it.
Give and accept love, because that's where we're at. I can't give you an immaculate house. And I cannot give you, an all-star 5-star vacation every, spring break. That's just not the season we're in. Someday I can get there, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is where we're at, and I'm okay with that. It's again that permission to be okay where I'm at.
Yes,
I have that in Christ. My God is not a God of guilt and shame. So anytime that I know that I'm feeling guilt and shame, it's not from Him.
So your Clorox wipes are wipes of love.
So my Clorox wipe is God's way of saying, Janelle, I love you.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Well, Janelle, this is
so fun. I just want you to know.
Thank you.
This more often. This has been
just for fun. Yeah.
I loved having this on my calendar, podcast, 9 a.m. I was so excited.
Oh, I love it.
If someone gives me a microphone and a permission to talk,
you're going to do it.
It's a gift from Jesus. So thank you for having me, Jenna.
Yes. Well, thanks for being here. So how can people connect with you and ANew?
Great question. So again, we have, all the fun things. So ANew Ministry, ANew. It's on, so we have Facebook, ANewMinistry.org, or Facebook is at ANew Ministry. We have Instagram at ANew Ministry, and we also have our website, ANewMinistry.org.
Okay.
We're on, all the socials, all those fun things, and you can find us there. And we have connect tabs. And I'd love to connect you in, from hosting a packing party for our Fully Flourishing boxes to volunteering to be a regular at our mom mixers that meet twice a month, and just getting to know a young mom in your community, to maybe even having a church that would love to host a Teen Mother Choices program, or a church that would love to host one of our mom mixers. Yeah. I would love to plug you in. And if anything, even if you just want to call, we can talk. I'd love that too. God gave us all gifts, and talking is sure one of mine. So
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks, Janelle. This has been fabulous.
Oh, thank you so much, Jen. Have a great day.